What's up, YouTube? Dr. Kemp here, Hammond Doc. A few days ago I made a video dealing with the new blue ESR meter that we recently acquired here at Vintage B3 Oregon. And the blue ESR meter is a provides a accurate and true reading of capacitance in, of course, a capacitor. And in that particular video, I was checking capacitors in a Hammond AO44 vintage Hammond AO44 reverb amplifier, and I noted in doing that check that there was a couple of capacitors. In fact, I have it here right on my desk. Still have one of them that had this corrosive looking material on it. And when I saw that, based on other videos that I've looked at on YouTube, studying electronics, that techs usually would cut those capacitors out of the circuit of the amplifier that they were working on and replace them. And so based on that, I decided I was going to cut those. It was two of them. Cut those caps out and replace them with brand new capacitors. But also, when I evaluated those capacitors with my Fluke 189 multimeter, these 100 microfarad capacitors rated in around 126, 127. And so based on that as well, using a 10% tolerance limit, upper and lower limit, I decided that those capacitors were bad and needed to be replaced. However, when I connected my blue ESR meter to those capacitors, the ESR meter evaluated those capacitors to be good, functioning. So that was a discrepancy. And I wanted to have I like discrepancies resolved. Whenever I come across a discrepancy, there is a psychologist by the name of Fissinger, or a theorist who we study in the field of social influence theory, by the name of Leon Fissinger, who talks about cognitive dissonance. He has a cognitive dissonance theory. And the theory of cognitive dissonance has to do with when you come across discrepancies in life, it causes you to feel anxiety or lack of comfort or discomfort. And so that was a discrepancy that caused cognitive dissonance in my mind. And I wanted that dissonance resolved. So what I did was I contacted a fellow here on YouTube who goes by the name of Uncle Doug. Uncle Doug has a number of videos, and he's an expert in electronics. He's doing some great work. What's up, Uncle Doug out there? You're doing some great work. I'm enjoying your videos, and he's doing work with amplifiers and talking about electronics and dealing with the guitars. I mean, he's just fantastic. So go take a look at his videos. So I contacted him and asked him to look at my video and give me some feedback about what he was thinking. He gave me several pointers. One of the things that he talked about in dialoguing with me was the fact that I had not zeroed out my ESR meter. So one of the things that I did was I went on ahead, and here's my granddaughter. How you doing, Janessa?
Hi, Janessa, Dr. Janessa Eaton.
Thank you, Janessa. All right, Janessa's here with me today. So one of the things that I began practicing doing was zeroing out the ESR, and it's very simple to do that. And I did that after the video and found out that I was still getting the same reading. So, and zeroing it out, I'll do that in another video when I go to evaluate some capacitors. But I did that. Getting ready to leave. Okay. Come back anytime. Okay.
Jeanette about to leave. Jeanette about to leave. Bye.
Bye. All right. See you later. And I'll show you how I zero this out. That was one thing. Another thing he pointed out to me was that what looks like corrosive liquid or material on the capacitor could actually have been due to environmental exposure as opposed to bad capacitance. So that's something that I will certainly keep in mind. But he also said that because of these are not very expensive to replace, that it was okay for me to, of course, to replace it. But he because it checked good on the ESR, he probably would have left it in the circuit and tried it out. Okay, but certainly it was okay to replace it. Third thing he mentioned to me was that with the multimeter, I was taught that the tolerance is 10% either way, high or low. So this was at 100 microfarad, so 10% tolerance above would be 110, would be the top of the limit. 90 would be the lower part of the limit. Uncle Doug was saying that you can actually allow for 20% tolerance at the top end, 10% tolerance at the bottom end. So in other words, go down to 90 for the bottom, but actually up to 120 at the top end for the tolerance. And I was getting 126, 127 on those capacitors. So that would have indicated that if the capacitors were bad, they weren't that bad, relatively speaking. And then finally, he pointed out to me that, of course, and this is something that I've read, that the multimeters are notorious for their inaccuracy with regard to the measurement of capacitance, and I've read that and talked to people about it, and because there could be other capacitors that are that's interfering with the evaluation of capacitance with a multimeter. But I heard him also mention in his video that but the ESR doesn't have to worry about that type of interference with a capacitor that's in the circuit. You have to cut one of the legs to check it out of the circuit. But with the ESR, you do not have to cut the leg, and in fact you can connect either end, either clip to it. It doesn't matter in terms of direction; it's non-directional, and the ESR is an accurate, more true indicator of the capacitance rating of a capacitor. So therefore, he puts a lot of confidence, a lot of trust in the blue ESR, and it sounds like to me this is a wonderful instrument, and on the basis of that discussion with Uncle Doug, and my thinking and considering more about what I've read and in my experience, I think that I'm going to be able to trust the blue ESR meter in the now and in the future here in our business, in our shop. So let me end this session and come back, and with the use of this, we're going to apply this in a moment here and show you what it does. Okay, so until we do that, this is Hammond Doc saying to you, peace out.